Hi, we're back for another Monday Mindset Moment. I'm here as your coach. I am the founder and lead coach at Raising Our Resilience, working with families who are ready to raise resilient kids as they raise their own resilience. And today's topic is a fun one. We are talking about guilt-free ways to get kids on board with chores. This is something that all of my clients and families that come into my world tend to be very interested in. So we wanted to feature it today. And I'm just going to dive right in. So the first thing is to make sure you're doing everything you can to avoid power struggles. Now, kids will naturally push back if you give them something to push back on. And I know you know this, but just hear me out, okay? You're like, Vanessa, I know this, but are you actually doing it? That's the question, right? Are you actually giving them things to push back on, or are you avoiding those power struggles? So let's take a look at that, all right? So let's say you want a child to do a chore and you're trying to get them to, let's say, help out with the laundry. And you see all the dirty clothes on the floor and you tell them, hey, I see all these dirty clothes on the floor. Remember, we talked about it. You need to put them in the hamper and clean them up. And they ignore you. This is a familiar scene to you. I know a lot of folks complain about kids ignoring directions. Or you say, if you don't put these clothes away, then you're not going to have any screen time. So right away, bringing in consequences and or rewards even on the other side of it. If you clean up all your clothes, then you'll get some ice cream. So you're creating a transactional sort of relationship with chores then. So both of those scenarios where you come in and you kind of wag your finger to give a reminder, like, you know better, you should have, and or bringing in that reward and punishment system where they can either decide that it's worth it to avoid the punishment or to earn the reward, or it's not worth it and they just say, I don't care. Let's not get there unless you already are. Let's try not to get to the place where they say, I don't care, or like, you can't make me, or I don't care about, or go ahead and punish me, or go ahead and take away my screen time. How many of you have felt like, yeah, like that moment is either coming or you've had that moment and you just feel sort of, you know what, out of luck. Yeah. So what's happening here? What's happening? Well, unfortunately, we have a tendency to go towards these kind of styles of motivating our kids that do create power struggles. We give them something to push back on. Now, if we were together in a room live right now, I would say, put up your hand, or ask a volunteer, put up your hand, and then someone would volunteer to put up their hand. And without saying a word, I would put my hand on their hand and just start to push gently. And one of two things, and I've done this now probably 40 or 50 times in workshops, locally, nationally and internationally, teaching these concepts to parents and caregivers. Inevitably, one of two things happens. Either the person starts to push back with equal force so that they don't lose any ground and I don't gain any ground, but they may not be like actually pushing me away, right? Because I'm a trusted person in the environment, but they'll still push. They don't want to give up ground. Or the second thing is they'll recoil, pull their hand away and look at me, and suddenly whatever trust we had is now broken. They're like kind of retreating and shutting down, being like, what are you trying to do? Either way, we're ending up in a situation where we either have somebody who is now distrustful and pulling back and, kind of shutting down, or we have somebody who's starting to gear up for pushing back and ready for a fight. So what I say is, whenever possible, try and avoid giving kids something to push back on. And I'm going to show you visually, because I'm a visual person, and hopefully this helps you too, is that instead of giving them something to push back on this way, do everything you can to come alongside your child side by side and sort of look at the situation together. Hey, sweetie, when I tried to walk across your room, I noticed there's a lot of stuff on the floor. What do you see on the floor? Oh, well, yeah, I have lots of clothes on the floor. Huh. I wonder where those need to be, It's just a completely different flavor than coming and saying, why are all your clothes on the floor? I told you it's time for putting your laundry in the hamper, or how many times do we need to talk about this, or pick up your clothes, or if you don't pick up your clothes, then, you know, X, Y, Z, or if you do pick up your clothes, I'm going to give you this reward. That's very sort of like, I'm coming in with something and you can either recoil or push back. Yeah. So let's get side by side with our kids as much as possible and move forward together. Really get alongside them, get in their world. What are they doing? What is their attention on? Why might have they forgotten? Get curious. Okay. So first one is let's not give things for the kids to push back on. Number two is bring in the spirit of curiosity as much as possible, even and especially when kids are not rising up to your expectations, even and especially when. So this is where we start to practice a sense of, you know, empathy, compassion, and grace within our family system. Now, you might be the kind of parent who already gives a lot of space for grace and is very forgiving and gives in and lets a lot slide. If that's you, then you're still going to want to come in with curiosity, but I also want you to come in with some clarity as well. So curiosity and clarity together. So your curiosity is, hey, I wonder why my child isn't doing their chore. What is it? What could it be? But then the clarity is this does some structure, to bring in some structure. Like, this is something that we need to make an agreement about. Let's actually create this agreement. And I'm going to insist on this conversation. My child can't wiggle out of it. And we're going to have this conversation about every Friday, we're going to pick up all of our dirty clothes and make them make sure they get into the hamper, so that at the very least, step one of laundry is done. And that's something that my child can be responsible for. Okay. So what was number one? Don't give your kids something to push back on. Do as much as you can to get side by side with them. A way you can do that is to bring in curiosity and clarity. And the curiosity, truly questions, wondering, how did we get here? What could we do to improve things? But then also some structure with that clarity of, what are the expectations? What are we agreeing on right now? Okay. So already you have a really great recipe for shifting some things around chores that you'll feel less guilty, because you're not going to be kind of building up their sense of entitlement by doing everything for them. And you're also not going to be, shaming them or punishing them for not rising up to your expectations. You're going to be building more of a team. And at the end of the day, that's what we want. We want a sense of teamwork with our kids and every member in the household, ideally. Yeah. So this is one step you can make towards that. Go ahead and write in the comments, what do you think gets in the way of you having your kids get on board with chores? I'm curious to see what you say, and let me know where you're tuning in from and what the ages of your kids. Like I would say, Vanessa, I have a 23 and 27, two bonus kids, 23 and 27, and also another 8-year-old in my household. And I'm here in El Cerrito, California. And what I think gets in the way is that I can make up a story that I'm too busy to have the conversations that I know will actually set things up for success. I know the too busy story way too well. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. They don't have enough time. They don't have enough energy. We just got to get through the day. Even if it's stressful, even if it's not running well, we just got to get through it. Yeah. So that's probably the thing that gets me stuck the most in being able to, create that easy daily life where chores happen, where kids are cooperating, where we're kind of moving through the parts of the day smoothly. And because I know that this is something that I can get stuck in and that we all can get stuck in, as well as other challenges, we've actually created a webinar to help with that. It's called Easy Mornings. And why we're starting with Easy Mornings, because we know that that's where the tone of the day is set. That's where you feel like you're either winning this day or you're already behind or losing the day. That's where, some damage can be done into the relationship, and then you're setting them off to school feeling bad about it, right? So we purposely are focusing on easy mornings because we know what an impact it can have to be able to create ease in your mornings. And I'm teaming up with Dr. Luz Casquejo-Johnston. She's incredible. So lucky to have her on our teaching team here. She has been a professor of Montessori guides, teaching them how to be teachers, a principal, of many schools, and also an educational consultant. And we're so lucky to have her, as I mentioned. And this is a free event, and there are 4 different dates, and we wanted to make sure it's accessible for everybody. So if you have not yet registered for your spot, go ahead and also share with friends, because this is such a valuable resource. So why do we want to create easy mornings? Why do we want our chores to go smoothly in the mornings in particular? Well, because when we have when we have set the tone like that, it gives us a sense of hope that a lot is possible today. And for me personally, I'll share that as a teacher, as a step parent, as a bonus parent, in my current household, I have so much more hope. And I also have less of that story of I'm too busy and there's not enough time. If I have an easy morning where we actually have time to connect and there's some downtime, either for me, for my own self-care, or for my child with the children to be able to have some time to read, or some time to play, or, some time to just kind of do their thing in the mornings. It makes such a difference. And it really makes me feel like, okay, there is enough time in life to get everything done. And I might even use that time cheerfully to get ahead of some kind of chore for later, like, making that shopping list for the grocery store, or, taking care of some ticky-tacky email thing I have been waiting to do. So it's really worth it to focus on your mornings. And so that's my 3rd tip, is that if you can set the tone for the day with a couple of wins of chores that get done in the morning, and done with ease, it can make such a difference. So give our kids less to push back on. Check. Okay. Really think, am I really picking a fight with a 4-year-old right now? Am I really picking a fight with my tween? Like, do I need to have a yelling match with my 8-year-old right now? See if there's some way that you can take away that pressure of pushing hands and come alongside your child. Second thing is bringing curiosity and clarity. And for some of you, the curiosity is what you're really going to need to turn up, because you've definitely put yourself in that high authoritarian role of like, I'm in charge, my way, the highway, let's get going, do what I say. You're going to need to bring in more curiosity and more side by side. Okay. If you've been maybe very much, kind of letting kids run the show and giving them a ton of freedom and agency, but things are still stressful and not getting done and they're not listening to you, you're going to want to bring in more of that clarity, more of that structure. You're going to turn that knob up. Okay. All right. And lastly, focus on mornings. It's worth it. Like it's such an obvious thing once you have it that you'll wish you had done it sooner. And whatever story you've made up around that mornings have to be hard, or that your kid is difficult, or you or your child is not a morning person, which might be true, right? That might be the way your body clock runs, but that doesn't mean that mornings have to be horrible, hard, stressed, rushed, and have yelling matches. And I'm so excited to share stories of inspiration, specific key strategies to have less tantrums, meltdowns, and power struggles in the mornings. And also, this is a pathway to getting guilt-free chores done. Yeah. So start the day with a win. Come join us for Easy Mornings. We've already got several dozens of folks registered, and it hasn't even started yet. Our first webinar is on next Monday, the 26th at 6 p.m. Pacific, but then there are 3 other times to choose from in that following week. So pick the one that works for you, spread the word, and we'll see you back here for another Monday Mindset Moment at noon on Monday. And then we'll have our webinar, the first webinar that evening. Let me know in the comments and chat what you pulled out of this. It's always so helpful, whether you're here in the Raising Our Resilience parent group, free Facebook group for parents with over 1,000 members now. Or if you're listening on YouTube, always feel free to put something in the comments and we see them and we respond. So let us know what you got out of this, and share it with the other folks who are watching and listening, so we can all get more out of these Monday Mindset Moments. All right. Thank you so much for your beautiful attention. You big-hearted parents, I believe in you. You deserve support, and you don't have to do it alone. And this is one of those places you can come. And I want you to, my hope and my goal is that you feel refreshed, empowered, and ready to take that next step in your parenting journey with a whole lot more hope and resilience. So hopefully we've done that for you today. Lots of love. Until next time. Bye for now.